I'm Lisa Parrish, and I'm with Petermer Productions, and actually I misspoke. I've been doing this for 27 years. My father before me, who our company's named for, Petermer Productions, he actually started the McSAM Awards with Jody and Anna all back in the day, 35 years ago, so we've been around. And I started out back in the day as a trophy girl as well, so it's been my entire life. It's been surrounded by trophies, slides, and houses, and crazy acts. So yes, it's in our blood. We consider ourselves children of the industry. So the reason and the rationale why we are here today, why we all gathered here today, is to witness and to experience how to enter the McSAM Awards for 2014. And I've got great news for all of you. It's going to be so easy because we've streamlined it, we've made it very simple. And so what we're going to do today is just kind of go through the process to make it very streamlined, very go through the entire thing with you so that you guys have familiarity. So how many of you have been to the DBA website to see the McSAM Awards tab online? Okay. That is the first thing we're going to do. I'm just going to jump out here and show you that the call for entries is online on the Dallas Builders Association website. Call for entries is there. We have our welcome, our entry information, our categories, partnership, and all information is all on DBA. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows where to go find that.
Lisa, do you have any extras of these?
We do. Sure, absolutely. Misty, do we have a couple more out in front? Oh, and Misty, you didn't introduce yourself.
Hi, Steve Barcelona with the Dallas Builders Association. Here's one more. I can have some more printed. There you go. Yeah.
So how to enter? Well, I'm going to give you a few easy steps. This is what we like to streamline it and think about it because it's almost like doing your history homework paper. You know, it's out there in front of you and you're like, oh Lord, it's going to be such a big, awesome, terrible process, but it's really not because we're going to make it very simple. So here are a few ways that we like to consider it. Did everybody get a call for entry? If you didn't. We like to think of it in 4 steps. First thing is go through and review the call for entries. Go through and read it. Go and understand the categories, the requirements, the deadlines, all of it so that you have a pretty good understanding. It's not, you know, deep reading. Fairly simple and straightforward. Second part is you're going to want to enter. Entering is, there's 2-step process here to submitting your entries. The first thing is you're going to fill out the entry application form. And that's going to include your category, the name of the project, and for all the entries that you're submitting, and you're going to email that in to our offices. What's going to happen after that? We're going to email you back with a confirmation email on all the instructions and all of your forms. And then the third is assemble. That's putting all of your pieces and parts together. That's your photography, your forms, your floor plans, every piece that you might need based on the requirements of the categories that you're submitting. And then the last piece, because if you've done this in this nice and easy order, all you're going to do is literally copy and paste files into a folder, and it will take you 5 minutes. And you will call and you will say, that was the easiest thing I ever did. Thank you, Lisa. And I'll say, you're so welcome. So, important dates. February 28th. Everybody write down February 28th. That's D-Day. That is the day that you need to have your entry applications in no later than. And that's also the last day that you can submit your materials. Now, notice I said you could submit an application and the materials on the same day. That's because of the process of returning those materials. As long as you have everything together, you can. I do not suggest waiting until the last day to send in your application. It's going to take a little bit of time to turn around those numbers for you. So as soon as you can, review your entries and get everything together, the better it is because you'll get your confirmation email back. The finalists will be announced on our website on March 14th. So everybody know, March 14th, that's announcement day. That's when we're going to know who did what in what category. And of course, our event date is April 10th at the Hotel Intercontinental. So, here are the steps. Review your categories and requirements and complete that entry application or return via email to Lisa. My email address is on the website, and also I'll hand you all my business card today. You're going to receive your entry confirmation back with your official numbers and an invitation to a Dropbox. How many people here have worked with Dropbox or file sharing services before? Pretty standard? Okay, good, everybody's familiar, good. You're also gonna receive back an invoice for your entry fees and a total instructions on how to name your files, how to save your files, the sizing requirements, everything. So all in that one email, you'll be like, oh, sweet, it's all right here in one space. You're gonna prepare your entry materials from that point. That's where you're gonna start gathering your photography, your floor plans, and you're gonna wanna start putting those statements together. You're gonna, when you're completed and you have everything all together for all of your entries, that last day or whenever you finish, some people do it early. We have got entries that aren't due until April already arriving for another workshop we're working on. Place them in the Dropbox, you'll be done. You'll email us and say, my entries are all in my Dropbox. And we'll say, oh, fabulous. You can say, would you mind taking a look at and making sure that I have everything? Not a problem. We'll look through everything and we'll confirm that we have all your materials and that everything's in good order. And if you're missing anything for any reason, we'll give you a call. We will email you if we have any issues with files or anything else. So let's just go through and take a look at this year's categories. In December, we gathered with the
I'm sorry, before you start that, on the Dropboxes, how are those gonna be organized?
They're organized by entry number, so there'll be a folder in for every single entry within the Dropbox name with the category number, entry number, and the name of the project.
So
or
each
community.
entry has its own Dropbox folder
No,
by?
there's one Dropbox for your company, and there'll be folders for each one of your entries within that one Dropbox.
Okay.
And I'll go through that. I'll show you
Okay.
samples. So earlier in December, we met with the advisory group and we went through all of the categories to make sure that this year's categories reflect the market as it should be for this year. So our first group of categories is individual achievement. You'll see we have rookie salesperson, sales professional, selling product for first-time buyer. We have sales professionals based on sales price of the product. Online sales counselors, please, 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 those are a huge new effort in the industry. We're really trying to get more exposure for those. So if you have an online sales counselor, this is a great opportunity. Realtor of the Year, Sales and Project Manager, and the Marketing Professional. Just a little heads up, the requirements for those categories are fairly simple. It's a form and a photo. That's it. It's really fairly simple. There's a statement that's required, and obviously that's why what that person does and why they're worthy of recognition, but it's really very streamlined. For marketing, advertising, signage, and online, the nuts and bolts of marketing, we have logo, which can be broken out and presented for builder and or community, so don't think that you can't submit both in this category. We have brochure for developer and a builder, print ads, signage. We have two signage categories, and we broke them out. Signage that we have best signage, and that is 3 samples of builder signage on the community or at the model. That's on-site signage. The community feature is separate, and that's the mass community feature that usually has a little bit more elaborate display. We have internet and social media. Internet and social media are 2 separate categories for this reason. We define internet media as anything that is paid. That's email blasts, banner ads, pay-per-click, anything that you're going to see that you're doing an outreach. We break social media into a separate category because we feel like that's almost like what we used to call PR because it's inbound, it's non-paid, it's basically branding. Website, we have one website category, but no, that category, please submit any and all websites. Those are great opportunities for great exposure, and we will be presenting multiple awards in that category for builder, community, and or associates. Associates would be anyone who is supplying to the builders. Special event and promotions, obviously we had a winner last year, so we know what those are. Advertising campaign, and then sales officer welcome center. Now, if we do have a difference between a sales office, which is a standard sales office selling one project out of one office, versus a big welcome center, for instance, like Phillips Creek Ranch, those are apples and oranges. We'll break those out. We will not have those compete against each other because they're not even in the same world. Next, we have our interior merchandising and design categories. Again, interior merchandising broken out very similarly to the salesperson, all by sales price. Design, same. We do have the attached home plan for you folks. What we're going to do there is we've broken it by attached home plan. Should we have a disparity in the entries that we receive versus townhomes, condos, or product type, we'll split the category. It will be determined based on what comes in the door. So if there's a great number, we may even see that become 2 or 3 categories. But we had to start somewhere to see what the temperature was at the morning. The other thing to note is category 31, which is a favorite, best outdoor living space. That seems to be the newest, coolest, most trending thing across the country. In nationals this year, it was, I think the category had 27 entries in it. And it was the most fun of all the categories. The judges were like, I want to go there. So that's a great category and lots of fun. We have home of the year, which we broke into 2 sections. We broke it from custom home, which is built for a spec for a specific client or for on spec, or home of the year for a production model. Production model being that it'll be built multiple times. Note, you must enter the interiors and the architecture categories based on your price range in order to qualify for that category. We have best green building program. That is, we've left it a little bit more broad based on if you have a green marketing program or if you have a different strategy. We're looking to recognize that. We have the Mixing Up Builder of the Year. And then we have the Community of the Year Awards. We have multifamily rental. We have Master Plan Community of the Year under 200 acres. Master Plan over 200 acres. And note, you must enter at least 4 categories to qualify. You can choose any 4 categories that you wish. They just must exclude the individual achievement. So if you want to place 4 plans in the architecture, that qualifies you. Or if you want to spread it across, normally in the past you've seen somebody take a little touch of some signage, some interior merchandising, and some architecture. Whatever you feel your strength is, that's totally fine.
That really is 2 categories though on the multifamily. This is 2 categories.
In that category, we only did 2 because there's only 2 opportunities.
Okay,
We
because
only
here
have-
it says 4, so I just want to make sure it really is 2.
I will double check that for you. I think it was intended to be 2, but I will double
Okay.
check.
Okay, great.
And then I'm going to go to Jody to talk about the People's Choice Awards because you have way more knowledge on that than me.
As you all know, People's Choice is totally different, and there's still sometimes confusion about this, but I think it's starting to get kind of covered. But if you haven't entered before, People's Choice is totally a research-based category. All these categories we just talked about prior to that are a industry-judged award. They are what the industry professionals deem the best builder, the best architecture, all those kinds of things, best advertising, best everything. The People's Choice is a consumer research project, and it's done differently through market research answers. Harold Gross is the researcher who has done this for us the last few years. He's doing it for us again this year, and it's not in here, but we do need an earlier deadline for that because it takes him, we've got to be able to have the results the same time you have your judging of all the other categories. And it's going to be more like mid-February. So if you are entering, and we also, just so you know, this is a very timely and expensive thing to do. And if we don't get enough entries in these categories, you can't say you're the People's Choice winner of the consumer when only 2 people enter the whole industry. So we really encourage everyone to enter, and you can get your results. One thing we did the first year, we gave a report out for everybody that entered, and the second year, some people wanted them, some people didn't. The next year, and because it's such a time-consuming for the researcher, he had done the actual reports for us free after doing the whole process, the judging and sending it out and handling the surveys and all that kind of stuff. That last year we had said, if you want your survey information, you'll just have to pay a little bit more to get that, but it's like $250 or something. It's like ridiculously low to get how you're rated in all these different areas as a builder. And I haven't talked to Harold about that this year, but if you want it, you can get that. It's just for him to take the time to write out a summary report and to come meet with you. It's a lot of time that he's really helping us out by doing this at a low to no rate on the first part. He just can't do that on the rest. So you're welcome to see all the exact answers and the summary and all that kind of stuff. So just so you know, it's phenomenally helpful research and information back on the categories. So we have to have enough that it makes it a reasonable deal and to cover the cost of doing it. Just doing the survey, sending it out, getting the answers, getting them to you. So that's one thing. And then, second of all it requires is a list for builders, People's Choice winner. It is a list of all of your homeowners in the previous year. The first couple of years we did it, we let you go back a couple years. And I'm still open to that, and I think Carol would be, and that'll be up to somebody maybe besides me to decide that. Because we didn't have, sales were slow there for a few years, as we all know. But last year was great, 12 was great, and 13 was great. So hopefully you have enough. The reason we have to have a reasonable pool to pull from is if he doesn't send out, if he doesn't have enough of a universe to send them out to and get them back, you can't have a valid research project.
It's not statistically accurate.
Right. And so you can't count it if we can't receive a minimum of 50 back. Now, some people turn in 600 and we'll get a 300 or 200 or 150 or something. The more, the better. But I'm just saying, really can't even consider it a valid entry without it being getting 50 back. That means normally you need a couple hundred, 250 go out just to get them back. But we're willing to try that, but just so you know, there may be an issue if we can't get them back. The other thing is for a community People's Choice, and this list needs to just be delivered to us in an Excel file. I don't mean us, the research people. It goes directly to Harold, no one sees it. I don't see it, Missy doesn't see it, you don't see it, nobody sees it.
Completely held in confidence.
And you're welcome to talk to him about it. He signs a confidentiality form for you. So believe me, he is the ultimate of ethics and will not, your list will never ever get out, never be given to anybody for anything. So I just want to reassure you that he had a big meeting today, or I'd have had him here to talk, so I'm kind of just trying to wing it for him. But anyway, and then on the homeowner association side, for the community of the year, typically we get those lists for residents in the community, because HOA is the one that's got the best list there. But the list has to be in good shape and valid, we need it all at one time on an Excel spreadsheet. And so we need to have enough homeowners. This is one thing that I know for Darling, and I hope and I'm sure this year, I think on Newman Village, the first year you entered, there were not enough people, but it's 2 years later, and so you might want to consider it again, because that's one of those, it's been a kind of specialty niche development.
Hello.
So I have a question.
No worries.
Yeah.
You said that we could go back 2 years, is that definite?
That'll be whoever wants to make the decision.
Well, if you have
but
to send out 250 in the hopes of getting at least 50 back,
Yeah.
if we've already sent them a poll before, is that a problem?
No,
Okay.
no, they're still, it's better to do it in year 13 if you've got enough. If you need to go back more to another year, we'll do that. It's better, the more recent the buyer, the better for they'll remember their experience better. We ask them very detailed questions about their experience, and so it's important that they remember that. So that's why if you have enough in the first year, and if you don't, and if you have a question about it, we'll send you an email with Harold's information, and you can call and ask him anything you want, how it's done, but it is a email survey, just so you know. So we need the name of the person and the email address. And then obviously the entry form, but really that's it. If you can just pull that, builders normally have their database of buyers, homeowner associations normally have their database of residents, and again, some communities have been there for years and they've got, God knows how many residents, thousands. But again, try to do the last few years, that whatever, if you have a small, I'm just keep thinking about your development up there for Newman Village, that you could probably go back 3 years or something like that. So we just have to have enough, but it's really important that it be recent. So just think through that for these smaller developers, for Community of the Year and then Builder of the Year, because so we don't want anybody upset if they are told they can't compete, but it's just not legitimate if you can't get enough back.
Sure.
And he'll explain that. Like I said, Harold will talk to you about anything, any question you have, and if you want your research, you can call him, he'll come out there. he can just send it to you, or I'll come out and go over it with you, whatever, but that is an extra, we took that out of a requirement because it was taking a lot of time, and he wouldn't do it for free, you know, so we have to charge for it, but it is great information for you to get, you know, feedback on your customer service, so, yes.
Can we set a deadline? When you said mid-February.
Yes, I would say,
You wanna say the 14th of February, which is a
yes,
Friday?
yes.
Valentine's Day is
Yeah.
deadline for People's Choice.
That's a half day for a lot of people because it's President's Weekend.
That's true. And I think that the 13th, we'll probably go the 13th.
I mean, if you can't get it the
But
14th.
if you can't get
then-
it into us, we'll accept it all the way up to the 14th, but that's just figured that that's kind of the deadline.
Yeah.
If you do know, if you are considering going for this category, please, 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 even if you don't put your other entries in, send these in as soon as you can. Because the sooner we get it, the sooner that we can get it to Harold, the sooner we can move things forward and you can get that off your plate. Because that's a whole different, you know, set of requirements than as your McSAM.
And the reason it takes a little time, we've gotta have, he goes through the list and sometimes, you know, there's duplications in the list. I mean, you'd think there wouldn't be, but I mean, sometimes there's duplications. He has to work with the list and the list has to be a good
Sure.
list and not have them all come back bad or something. Then you're gonna be in trouble on getting, you know, the good results too. But anyway, he goes through the list, he gets the survey set up, sends them out, he tells them 2 or 3 times, he sends a reminder a couple times. And so it's a process, it's not like they have a 1-2 day judging, it's done. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks and they still have to they have to order the trophy. So on the same time schedule as the judging is what, around the 10th or so?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Of March.
March. So we've got to have it back by then. So that's a tight 3-week window. So just
So
wanted to.
the super hard deadline.
It
is the
really
14th.
is. I mean,
If
you know,
if
we
it's
always
not
think,
in,
oh, yeah, we got a
can't
couple extra
sneak it
days.
in.
We can't on that one.
This is not one that we can fudge, as
Right,
they say.
right, yeah. And one thing about it, we do have a form somewhere that kind of gives you a deal that you can send out to your homeowners and say, please be looking for a survey from Market Research Answers, so that they will click on it, because it is a problem if they, you know, everyone gets a million emails and they don't.
If they dismiss them.
They dismiss them, so they need to be looking for something that says that in their email, and I'll tell you one other thing, that some HOAs, and actually some builders too, are not willing to give out their email addresses to their buyers, which totally understand that, and that's, you know, that makes it harder to enter, but a couple developments sent out through their homeowner association and asked, you know, of all of them, would you be willing, we don't give out your email anywhere else, would you be willing to take the survey? And they only sent it to the ones that said they would.
Oh, and they send a link to the survey?
Yeah, I mean, afterwards, they got their names, that's the list they turned in.
Right, so you have
So,
permission.
You have permission, so that's just a thought, if you have a builder that thinks they can't enter that, but if you've asked them and they say yes, you can provide that list, it still has to be enough people.
How many
So-
people have to return it? Or
Pardon
is
me?
it, how many people have to return it, or what's the percentage?
A minimum of 50, he said he can't even, you know, that could be a reasonable, but you've got to have them return, so that's why the more you can give them, the better. And because you never know who's gonna open it, and that's why it helps to send the thing in advance and saying, please be looking on this, it's important, you know, we appreciate your feedback, blah, 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 the Market Research Answers, you know, so, McSAM, and say McSAM or People's Choice. So we'll tell you exactly what it says, and we've got that letter that Harold had provided, so you can put that in there and they can be looking for the specific thing. So.
All right. Fabulous. Moving forward, thank you, Jody, for giving us that background on that, and as everyone understands, it's a totally separate, independent process from the peer judging. Okay, so here is the entry application. Fairly simple. It's a Word document. It's as down and dirty as we can possibly make it so that everybody can use it and everybody can open it. Basically, it asks for the category number and name, the name of the community or the nominee if it's an individual, and then the fee amount. The fee amount for this year for the McSAM Awards is $125 per entry. You're going to complete that. It asks for the company submitting the package, the name of the person to contact, the address, and the phone, and you email that to us no later than February 28th. What you're going to receive back is an email confirmation from me that says, hi, thanks for entering. Here's a list of your entries by number. They'll have the entry number. Entry numbers are the following. The first number is usually the category number. For instance, for our first category is 03 for sales professional under 300,000. And number 12 will be the number of entries within the category. Okay, so that's the formatting of that. You'll have number 0, why am I in my glasses today? 09, and that'll be for online counselor. So as you go through, you'll see the whole list. It'll have the name of the category and then the name that you've provided. That's the double check that we haven't made any mistakes. Okay, because after this, once we go into the judging, those names go away. Everything is referred to by those numbers. So it's blind judging. I'll give you information on please submit your materials no February 28th. And you'll also know you'll receive an invitation. It's a separate email that comes from Dropbox saying Lisa Parrish has created Dropbox and is sharing this folder with you. Please click on it and accept it. Make sure Dropbox is installed on your computer. It makes it much more easy. And normally, you get additional storage, I believe. The second half of your email gives you the information, the forms. Every form for every category that you're submitting will be attached in Word. And it'll give you information on the identification of materials. You're going to name your files with exactly the formatting of the numbering that you've received earlier. So if you have that 03-12, that's exactly how you're going to name those files, because those files basically are, that's how we're going to keep everything together and neat. Photography, boy, tough talking today. All images are submitted digitally. They're all JPEG formats, no TIFFs, no PNGs, please, JPEGs only. You can save your floor plans and all of your forms as PDFs, or you can send them back as Word docs. We're fine with that as well. Floor plans should be in black and white or color, whichever you prefer. If you just basically want to send us the ones right out of your sales brochure, we're completely fine with that. Everything needs to be numbered with the same numbering convention. If you have any problems, it has our address, our telephone number, and how to reach us. You'll also receive your invoice, which will again go back through and add up everything that we have so that you can pay Misty in the back so that we can collect your entry fees so that we can buy those trophies and provide you with a lovely event on April 10th. This is what your Dropbox is going to look like when you receive it. Inside the Dropbox, there will be a folder for every single one of those entries that is listed. You'll have it named with the entry number, the name of the name, so that we're making sure that we're keeping it, because this is the only people who see these Dropbox are yourself and Shane and I. That's the way we're collecting and making sure that we have everything where it needs to be before we move it on into what we're going to put in together for our judges. Judges never see names, they only see numbers, okay? At the bottom, you'll notice there's a checklist. That checklist is like your goal. You can go through there and you can check off if you've got your forms, your plans, your images, everything. So the checklist is also attached to your email. So you have it in 2 places. So now you're getting ready and you're going to assemble your materials. So you have your Dropbox, it's sitting there. If you've got photography already done and you're just naming it, you could just be dropping it in the Dropbox. However, we do suggest one tip. Please, 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 do not place your original materials in that Dropbox, because after we receive everything, we pull it all down out of the Dropbox and we keep it. Basically, we've just taken that file and it's now ours. It's gone, okay? We had another entrant who gave us all their original materials. We took it, we put it all into our Dropbox, and she lost everything, and we had to recreate an entire program for her baker. And that was no fun, because she realized it about midnight the day before it was due. Talk about doing your homework late. So, never place original files. Please copy and paste into the Dropbox. We'll provide this entry tip sheet because it's really small here, but I just want to go over it briefly for you. Solid presentation will help in any entry process, but make sure you plan ahead. Make final decisions on the entries that you're going to be submitting early. Make a list. That checklist will be very helpful for you when you're assembling your materials. Make sure that you have somebody else check your work. You know, it's always good to have a second set of eyes, because after you've looked at so many things so many times, you have a tendency to miss things. Marketing statements, this is the biggest thing I can share with you of all. I've done this for 27 years. I've read every marketing statement known to man. You're speaking to a set of your peers. You're not speaking to a buyer. Speak plainly. State your objective. Tell them why you decided to go with yellow in that kitchen. Tell them why you decided to, make that statement in that secondary bedroom because you have 27 other model homes in that same community and you had to stand out. Explain to them why you needed to go with that really very contemporary logo because of the buyer profile that you spent oodles of money doing research on. Get into the real depth. Don't tell them how pretty it is and you want to use flowery colors. You're not talking to the consumer who we're trying to sell to. We're talking to a peer saying, hey, this is why I did what I did. It was really, it's not for everybody, but it was extremely successful with the buyer target market. For instance, we had some entries recently in nationals. They were, when you first brought them up on screen, they seemed very garish, the interiors. But when we went back and read the marketing statement, it talked about the fact that it was an East Asian buyer, Indians and Asians almost 100%. It completely made sense, and that was, and the rhyme matched the reason. So photography, get the best you can afford. Make sure that you talk to your photographer about looking at strengths, not just in going out and shooting. Talk to them about the fact that, I really want to show up the way that the living room and the dining room work together, enhancing those features.
Also talking about the marketing statement, if you're talking about the grand entryway, the romantic bedroom, the spa-like bathroom, make sure you have images that show those things.
Thank you, Shane. That's a really good point. There never ends that we're reading the marketing statement to the judges and they're looking at the photos and they're going, but I can't see that. So yeah, right to the images that you have. That really helps. Okay, so your entry form. The entry form for McSAM is very simple. You do not get graded by this, do not get freaked out by this. Basically all it is how we know who to give credit to when we're giving out the trophies. So, if you're going to be submitting, you're going to be submitting the category number and the title, the project name and plan. This will come back to you. This is basically the team sheet, okay? And it gives us just information on who to give credit to. Now, if you're submitting for best logo, I don't need to know the architect, the interior merchandiser, and the signage guy. But if you're submitting for architecture, yes, please, give me the architecture, but I don't need to know your ad agency. Not all the spaces need to be completed. The lines that are applicable to the category should be completed. If you're going for community of the year, yes, I need to know everybody. The marketing statement form, the lucid marketing statement. Very simple, very streamlined. The category, the location of the project, the primary target market, very, very important. The sales price, the square footage, the date you opened, just to give us some idea of how long the project's been there, and the website address. People always go, oh my gosh, it has the name of the project or name of the builder in it. The judges never see this form. It's read to them. The reason we ask for the website address is for some reason the judge has a question while we're judging that category and they say, you know what? I need to know what was exactly the sales price of this plan without the upgrades on it. Can you look that up? We can go right to that website and double check it for them. So that's basically, it's just a double check. In the bottom half of the statement, we ask you to write 150 words about what you did, why you did for that project or that community. Again, do not labor over these things. If you're speaking to me, just figure, I'm telling Lisa why I did this. Make it very simple.
Jump back to that real quick, or actually jump back one more to the entry.
Yes.
If you're entering multiple things for one community, don't labor that, oh, on this one I only need to put the interior designer, or on this one I only need to put the architect. If you want to fill that out one time and have all the information and submit that for every entry, that's fine.
Yeah,
but
you can
jump,
save that.
But jump to the next one. Don't do that for this,
Yes,
because you want to have the marketing statement be specific to that entry. So I can't tell you how many times we'll get a marketing statement and we're looking at plan 1, and then we switch to plan 4, and it's the exact same words. And that is really frustrating for the judges because they know that it can't be the same solution in multiple things. So write
and it's
specifically.
normally the copy that's been pasted right directly out of the sales brochure, which is extraordinarily a disconnect for those judges. They get really stressed out. It doesn't matter how pretty your plan is. If you stress the judges out after about 2 minutes, they're like, yeah, move on. So try your very best. I know that's a lot of work to do, but even if you only write 3 or 4 sentences, like, this is a great little plan, little ranch plan, it serves its target market, it's for, first-time buyers, and we really want to put all of our effort into the great room, That's fine. That's a perfectly lovely marketing statement. It explains what the project was. So we're gonna go through here. I'm just gonna give you a few examples of some great statements along with an entry. So for instance here, this is a logo. Obviously, as you see it, you're like 37 degrees north, what the heck? Well, it makes a whole lot of sense when you realize it's the actual latitude where it resides in Sunnyvale. They want to touch upon the prime location, the culture, the innovation, technology, and they want to talk about the fact that it's smart, sleek, and inventive. Very simple, but at least it explains it. If you put that up there without, and you didn't read that marketing statement, you'd be like, whatever. Okay? Here's a social media campaign. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to show you the images, because it really kind of draws you into exactly what it's like to be in the judging. Social media is part of our overall marketing strategy. We also use more traditional methods of advertising, but we make sure to include our social media profiles on all achievements, mailings, and other marketing efforts. Social media helps us interact with our customers when they're not in our community and will allow us to create an engaged and committed community. Our social media platforms improve our business. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, blog, YouTube, LinkedIn, and many more. Quality product photos mingled with engaging lifestyle, relevant location imagery, and intuitive, well-designed user experience will help convey our credibility. Our social media places heavy emphasis in targeting home buyers while recognizing the importance of secondary audience, including realtors, homeowners, stakeholders, landowners, community leaders, and business to business. Okay, so what did they tell us there? They basically gave us, this is our social media plan. We realize this is to do outreach, but it also is for these other platforms, and it tells us what they're using. Now, here's what they give us. Here's their Facebook. Here's their Twitter. Here's their Pinterest. Here's their LinkedIn. Here's their YouTube. And here's their blog. Now, what did they give us? They gave us exactly the images they talked about in their statement. It was like it was a lovely little presentation and drew us right through it, so we understood what they were trying to do. The other great thing about it is they talked about the fact they're also talking about stakeholders, their investors. So, wanted to show you this image. This is the actual judging system that we use, and it shows an example of how the materials are presented to the judges. So as you can see, there is up to 8 images that we can show. So 8 is the maximum number of images that you can submit for a product. It's provided to them all at one time so they can kind of get an overview of the home. We try to walk them through the home as if you were literally walking through from the exterior into the backyard. And as you can see, from the top, everything is only recognizable by the entry number. There is no name. Now, these images, as I see it, they can see it as the group in the 8, and then we can blow them up because they're thumbnails, and they'll get the full view. Okay? So I just wanted you to kind of get an idea of what it's like to be in the judging.
And as Lisa would have been reading that marketing statement, we would have had those 8 images up of all the social media stuff, and then as we basically blow each one up and walk through it so they can see each one, and then we go back to the summary slide there, and they can talk about it, and we go back if they want to see something more in depth.
Thank you for bringing that up. Going back to the judging process. The judges are all selected from outside of your area. None of them have any ties to any of the builders or the associates who will submit an exam. It's all arm's length. They're all industry professionals who have entered and have won previously, so they understand the process. They are also extraordinarily understanding of what it goes through to put an entry together, so they do not do it in any flippant manner. They take their time, they get every entry it's due, and they're encouraged to speak. They're all the different disciplines. We'll have a builder, an architect, an interior merchandiser, sales managers, marketing directors, the whole gamut. For this judging, we're actually going to do it in groups where we're going to have all sales managers and marketing directors do the individual achievement. We're going to have builders and interior merchandisers do the interior merchandising, architects and builders do the architecture, and a group of ad agencies and builders do the marketing. So I just want to give you confidence that when you're submitting, no one's on the other end going, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to kind of roll through this. No, they take their time and they take it extraordinarily seriously, and we do discuss it so that they can talk and say, no, that ad's really great. Look what they did. Oh, you know what I liked about it was this. They do have a conversation. Okay? So this is another room. Sales offices are really interesting. It's hard to sex up a sales office. It's a sales office. I thought this was a great example. A stylish layout developed to create a welcoming, refined, consistent environment for our guests. Home shoppers approach the sales center as they're greeted with a classic glass wall, while the interior finishes have a warmth and comfort buyers want to experience when making the most important purchase. Interactive touchscreen displays allowing us to deliver our most important messages in a technologically advanced manner. Signage displays present as pieces of art on a wall with cherished family photographs to deliver strong selling messages. Regarding, they have locations, home design, quality construction, national partnerships, and so forth. The story behind the thoughtful design of our homes and the way we stand the test of time. We take great pride in the details from landscape, signage, fabric, flooring, and finishes. Step outside the pavilion to the extended exterior living space. This outdoor lounge provides prospective buyers with a chance to take a breathtaking view while deciding on which one of the beautiful homes that they're going to call their own. The goal was to create an impressionable bookmark in the minds and hearts of home buyers with experience to always remember. Well, it's pretty nice, right? This was a standard sales office that they build everywhere. But it didn't sound that way, right? It was really, they did a really nice job of making you feel excited. They gave us a really lovely floor plan. Don't forget to number your floor plans also, by the way, just so that we know, make sure, because floor plans have a tendency, people get them mixed up. They're like, oh, there's plan 1 with plan 6. So here's the exterior, showing us the glass door as you approach in the pavilion. Here's the open office. Here's the glass wall looking back out. Closing area, office, and overall. 6 really pretty simple slides, but they did a really nice job of telling us the story of why they did what they did. All right, so submitting. Here's the other view. If you're into Dropbox.com, it looks 2 different ways. If you're looking on your computer, if you're looking back on Dropbox.com, this is what it looks like.
And PCs and Macs can look different as well.
Right. So again, it's your list. It's your checklist. When you're done putting all your materials into your Dropbox, zip us an email. Hi, I'm done. Everything's there. If you want, you can even say, please take a look and email back to confirm that you've received everything. We're happy to do so. But at least that way we know that everything's there and you're not going to keep adding files to it. Because as you're pulling it down, we're going to begin the process of compiling it for the judging. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you first submit to get your numbers and you said you send over the invoice, we have clients, or we as an agency change our mind 28 times in this
Absolutely.
process. So if we have a last minute entry, say at the 11th hour, we decide to enter something, how does that work and how does that invoice get revised? And
It's so funny because it was doing this with we're doing another show and we have the same thing, big agencies dealing with multiple. What'll happen is that checklist, we'll just respond back to you. We'll add that entry into the Dropbox and we'll probably send you another invoice for that added entry.
Okay.
So I think in the best instances, it would be great is if we sent you that invoice and it's almost like a living, breathing document. And at the end of the day, right before it's, the deadline, we'll send you a final invoice in case there's changes.
Okay.
All right? And so we'll amend it.
And in those cases, we'll probably set up our clients separately and then just have our agency one. That's typically how we do it, but.
Yeah,
I just
not a
wanted
problem.
to check.
However
If
you
we could
guys
make
would like to do
changes.
it. I mean, you could have one big Anderson Hansen one, we can have different folders for different clients. You just let us know how you'd like us to assemble. We can customize it as you wish. Any other questions? I've either done a really good job or I've confused the heck out of everybody, but I hope I did a really good job. The other thing I'd like to say is, we're here to be your resource. We do this all year long. We run multiple awards programs. If you are interested in receiving samples of good entry statements or photography or anything that you'd like to take a peek at, for instance, if you're interested in, like, I'm submitting a salesperson, can you send me a really good example of a write-up? We will be happy to share with you one from a previous awards program from outside of your area. We keep those as good samples just for that reason. So let's say you're putting together an online sales manager and you've never written one before. Happy to just send us an email. Hey Lisa, do you have a sample of an online salesperson? Do you have a good example of a marketing statement for a sales office? Happy to zip it right back to you. Or if you want to pick up the phone and say, hey, you know what, I just really, give me some advice on this or that, we're happy to do so. Again, we have multiple samples, we have good advice, and we'll kind of give you some guidance.
Roll over?
Sorry?
Roll over?
Rollover. Ah, thank you, Shane. As we said before, we actually handle the National Sales and Marketing Awards for the National Sales and Marketing Council. After you submit in the McSAM Awards, because we have all of your materials, and if you'd like to go on from the local level to the national level, you do not have to recreate those awards. We will send you a nice little letter that says, hi, congratulations, you've submitted in the McSAM. Now would you like to go to the nationals? If you'd like to do so, complete this form. Basically, it'll tell us which entries you'd like to take to nationals. We'll put down the entry fees. You pay the bill. Those entries go all the way to the nationals. You never have to touch them once again. It's
Basically,
pretty
you
nice.
basically get another invoice very similar to the one we just saw, and you pay that, and there you go.
Recently, we've actually had a number of folks from Southern California and Denver who've taken advantage of this and who've done very well. So it's a really nice program, so you don't have to recreate things and go back and, where did I find that marketing statement for that brochure again? Oh, quick question, or quick thing I just remembered. If you were submitting brochures for the brochure category, we would like the actual brochure. If you can submit the actual, bring the brochure to Misty by the deadline date and bring it to the offices here, those brochures we're actually going to be showing the judges those brochures, not only the PDFs of them, because they're tactile. We need to be able to see them, so that'll really help. So one sample of a brochure would be tremendous.
We've really, over the last 3 or 4 years, gone as green as possible. Once we get your Dropbox, we kind of tear it apart. We put all the floor plans where applicable into a folder, so the judges are looking at everything on a computer. But we found when we first went completely digital, brochures suffered because there's just something about a brochure, and so that's the one thing that we ask for as a hard piece.
So we hope you'll join us for a Toast of the Town on April 10th. We'll be celebrating, and we're excited. We've actually had a meeting yesterday and saw the room. Have some great plans for making it exciting and celebratory. And so that's basically it.
Lisa,
Yes?
is this the order of the awards that night?
No.
Okay.
The order of the awards that night will be mixed up. We try to do that so that we keep people engaged throughout the evening. So no, it won't be not that. And we also try to keep it so we don't have repetitive, hearing the same names all the time.
I didn't think it was.
Yeah. Later today, we'll be meeting with our advisors for our secondary meeting to discuss more information about the award show, and we're hoping to bring you a terrific night on April 10th. That concludes. Oh, thank you, Jody. Partnerships, on the very far back of your sheet. The most important part. On the very far back, you will see the opportunities for partnerships for this year's McSAM Awards. The awards cannot be brought to you unless we have partners who believe in the concept of the McSAM Awards, and we're hoping that you will all take a peek at this and find something that fits you. The ones that I think that will be most to your liking are the builder partners, which come with 2 entry submittals included in your package. So that's a pretty nice buy. We also have that as the builder partner at $3,500, which comes with 3 entry submittals, and the builder partner gold, which comes with 2 entries. So that is a great way to bring it into your CFO and say, here, pay this, because it all comes in one nice little package. Of course, we're hoping you're going to have more than that many entries, but it does help guarantee things. We have,
Developer can do those too.
and developers can do
Says
those.
bills and rates.
Absolutely, absolutely. We did receive good information. I don't know if you guys have ever, well, you haven't, because they were just coming here. Parrish is a new fixtures showroom that's going to be opening here in the Dallas area. And they are a national company. They just opened in Chicago, San Diego, San Francisco, Glendale, California. And they're high-end. They usually feature high-end appliances and bath fixtures. And they're interested in sponsoring as either your title or your champagne sponsor. So they'll be joining you, and we're excited to bring them as a new group.
Nancy, just for a good point, what is the cost of each ticket per ticket?
Each ticket per ticket, that I don't believe has completely been set yet. That's based on the decision of the meal that we're going to be choosing. So it should be coming up very quickly. I'm going to say last year it was around 95. I think this year we were looking at more like about 115. But we'll get back to you on that as soon as we have that nailed down later this week.
some of the partners do include seats in your
Absolutely.
package, so.
That's why the partnerships are a really great buy, just for the sheer fact you kind of, it's like prepaying, pre-buying.
On the Dropbox, again, if we're working with a client and they're supplying some items and we're supplying some items, can we both have access to that Dropbox to have both of us collaborate and?
Absolutely, and what you're gonna wanna do on the entry application in that instance, great question, is please give us bulk, any emails that you would like to be invited to that Dropbox, because we can invite all those
That's what we
folks,
need to do.
and then they can have access, and then they can be putting things into the box.
Okay.
That's not a problem, like, for instance, you and your client, we can send the invitation to both.
Okay.
Yes, that's not a problem, and then everybody can see who's got what in this folders.
Right.
Thank you all for coming. We're really excited. We hope we're going to see a lot of entries this year. And we look forward to a great event.